President Kamala Harris after Democrats quickly fell in line to back her as the party's presumptive nominee. Let's bring in Maura Gillespie, BlueStack Strategies founder and principal. I'm curious about this, Maura. Vice President Harris's numbers, her favorability ratings, were lower than Joe Biden's last polls I saw. So why is it that she has bumped, so much closer to former President Trump after being named the Democrats' presumptive nominee?
This is now their only option, it appears. They have to get behind something, and they were having a hard time galvanizing around Joe Biden for obvious reasons. So I think what you're seeing is the excitement of something new and different, something to rally behind. And especially, I think, with the J.D. Vance pick, he is not really opening up the Big Tent party that Republicans like myself subscribe to. It's pretty much keeping with the status quo of what Trump represents. So there's an opportunity here for not only Kamala Harris on the ticket, but with whoever she chooses as a VP. So it opens up an opportunity for Democrats. And I think that's where you're seeing this, excitement. How we'll see how short-lived or it may be, but that's why you're seeing it.
All right, let's take a look at some swing state polling from Fox News polling unit. When it was Donald Trump against Joe Biden, last time around, the most recent polls, Donald Trump was ahead in all of the swing states. Now they are tied in Michigan. He is behind in Minnesota, tied in Pennsylvania, and he's barely ahead in Wisconsin and really within the margin of error. So I guess you could say it's anybody's race, but the numbers seem to have changed because of Kamala Harris' presence. Do you think that those numbers are going to stay that way? You described it, I believe, as a blip.
I think we always see this kind of an uptick after something is a shakeup. Usually after the conventions, you see a uptick for, we saw it with Republicans. We'll see it in August for Democrats. What I would also say here, too, is, again, this lethargy about the 2020 election being repeated again in 2024 was really keeping people back from having any enthusiasm in this race. And now you may be seeing people who are now excited or now at least are planning to be involved where they weren't before. So that's, I think, partially it. The younger vote could also be part of this, where I think a lot of people had apathy about even participating in this election. But now you're seeing them come out, and we'll see what happens in November, but this could be part of the equation here for the polls.
I want to put up a slate of possible Vice President Harris running mates as she tries to pursue the Oval Office. Interesting, they are all white males: Mark Kelly, Josh Shapiro, Roy Cooper, Pete Buttigieg, Andy Beshear, and Tim Walz. Are there any names that you would add to that list, first of all? And what do you think that this signifies?
I'm not surprised that that's the lineup of people who have been floated as a potential VP. If you had asked me this, I would have said, yep, I think it's going to be, a middle-aged white man. I would say, though, I think Mark Kelly would be her best choice. However, I when it comes to a numbers game, I don't know that Arizona is viable for the Democrats in big enough swing to make an impact. However, I think right now the attack lines from Republicans against Kamala Harris are going to come from the border. They're going to come from her non-committal stance on our relationship with Israel. They're going to come down to her being super liberal and really proud of it. So you're going to want to have, if you're thinking about branching out to some people in the Republican Party who aren't too keen on Donald Trump, then you're going to want somebody who comes across as a bit more moderate, like a Mark Kelly. So I think if you're looking at it from that angle, that would be the smart play. I don't know what the Kamala Harris team is thinking, but if they were asking me for my advice, that's what I would recommend.
She has endorsed the defund the police movement on more than one occasion. It was a big part of, her platform or her public proclamation, I guess, early in her vice presidency. Mark Kelly is the son of two cops. So does that diffuse? Well, could that potentially diffuse the criticism that she is almost certain to get over defunding the police?
And that criticism is warranted. I think what Mark Kelly could do in this situation is then explain the policy stance and explain how best to look at the budget and allocation of money. And he can speak to it because he is coming from a position of, I have family who are cops. This is my background. I understand it. He could add some weight to that conversation and, again, get us back to a policy-driven discussion and debate as opposed to these, inflammatory slogans that don't really capture anything but angst. And honestly, it's a damaging message for her to double down on. But with Mark Kelly in the picture, that could help her.
In my humble opinion, the best presidents we've had generally have been former governors because they've had executive experience in running a state. If we can put up that slate of potential nominees again, all of them, except for Pete Buttigieg, who was a mayor of a small city, all of them are governors or have been governors. So, because Kamala Harris, was barely a senator when she got picked to run for vice president, does that suggest that, she might be looking for somebody who actually has experience in running a bureaucracy?
It'd be important for her to have someone who has experience. It's also going to be important who she chooses to put around her should she, make it past the November election. But I think here too is again, the importance of the VP position is about vetting it. On the Republican side, we're seeing the downsides of not fully vetting our VP pick here with Vance and his comments as of late. And so Kamala Harris's team is going to want to really vet these people quickly and thoroughly because, again, it's looking forward to what's the future of this party. And for Republicans, same thing for us. What's the future of our party? And so the vice president pick, I know in the past has not been something that people really focused on. But right now, I would say it's very important.
Maura Gillespie, thank you.